Phenom is a platform that unlocks celebrity coaching from professional athletes for top youth players. And we're here today because of an observation of a market that's going to explode, the youth sports industry. In 2019, it was valued at almost $20 billion, a 1.5 times increase from 7 years ago. In the next 7 years, it's expected to grow even more to almost $80 billion. And this is fueled by a revolution where youth sports is becoming hyper-competitive, forcing the market to spend more and more to keep up. Although everything else in the industry, like uniforms, equipment, and club fees, have reached premium offerings, sports coaching has not, as 85% of coaches are still parents. As a result, there's more demand than ever for premium coaching services that didn't exist before. And in 2019, $9.2 billion of revenue was generated from that vertical alone. And so our solution is something that bridges the gap between players and credible coaches through professional athletes. So we previously validated this concept through a similar platform that we built, which allowed kids to book lessons from coaches from Phenom, Hawaii. It brings in around $300,000 of revenue per year for them, which is a very promising signal considering that's from just one sport in Hawaii. This led to the question of how we could take this promising model to the next level. So we leaned in on our unfair network advantage and went straight to the professionals. Mark is a MLB agent who represents over 75 athletes, and Kirby is a 7-year MLB veteran who won a recent All-Star award. Both have committed to work with us to test our original concepts. So we're currently in the middle of a live lesson pilot, and here's one of our case studies. Tyler is a promising young pitcher, so we set him up with Kirby Yates, an all-star pitcher. He's been taking lessons from Kirby for the past few months, where Kirby has helped him with various things such as pitch grip or fundamentals or mindset, and he took what he learned to become the star player of Hawaii's most recent Little League World Series run. For those who don't know, the World Series is the biggest youth baseball event and is broadcasted on ESPN. And because of status, credibility, and market demand, we know when we position these as a premium service. And as we gather data from the live lessons, we are also exploring options to create supplemental self-training programs to deliver those insights and credibility at scale. Ideally, a user would take a lesson from one of our athletes and then subscribe to a program that would prompt them to input data and upload videos that would allow them to continue to engage and get feedback from the professional athlete. So along with scale, this model also allows us to bring in recurring revenue in the form of monthly subscriptions. To get to market, we plan on giving away live lessons that we believe will earn us press to jumpstart customer acquisition. We will also have the athletes promote our platform through their social campaigns, and both are expected to be relatively low cost but extremely efficient channels. None of our direct competitors currently offer what we're proposing in the form of structured workouts, professional athletes, and live lessons. Our secret sauce or differentiator for building the business and product is around a model that we call RISE. The R standing for recurring revenue from monthly subscriptions to inspire consistent use. The I is for integrations with other sports technology to maximize the effectiveness of our users' performance improvement. The S for stickiness is influence from the data collected that will showcase how much the user has improved by being on our platform. And the E, which is the hardest, but something that we believe we figured out, is for emotion, which will come from the engagement when our users finally have the opportunity to meet their heroes. So due to our current network, we're initially focused on baseball, but we know this model will work with other sports and plan on expanding in the future. Justin and I met a couple years ago and have been working on various projects since then. I have a background in technical leadership and consumer marketing, which will allow me to execute our product roadmap and business plan. Dustin, who is the initial source of capital and is now serving as the chairman, has a few prior IPO exits and is helping with deal facilitation, networking, and general business strategy. We've gotten a lot of interest and momentum in the past couple of weeks. We have the agents and players ready to go, and they are preparing to invest both cash and sweat equity. And so we're now looking for people to get involved with us early and are willing to be flexible with the terms of the rounds until the pilot is over. Thank you all for your time. Happy to move on to answering questions.
Awesome job, Austin. Thank you very much. We're bringing our panelists back up here to ask the tough questions. All right, panel. What do you say? Who has a question for Austin? Yeah, Ayush, go ahead.
Hey, Austin. Great stuff. I used to play youth soccer, and so I'm sure I could have used better coaching, to be honest, thinking back. I wanted to ask a little bit about any market research or consumer research you've done that tells us a little bit more about the willingness to pay for parents to pay for this kind of, it seemed like obviously pretty expensive pricing. So Can you just tell us about the consumer psychology there, about why parents would be willing to pay that much for their kid?
Sure. So our niche target markets for the live lessons is the travel ball audience, which is paying exorbitant amounts of money to fly across the country to have their kids play. And the psychology behind it is that there's no way for them to have access to these professional baseball players. So, we're unlocking this new market that they have never had access to before, and that becomes invaluable, right?
Yeah, Steve.
If I could add to that or add a question on that same line is, if you're familiar with Cameo, which is the app that connects the celebrities, that is actually at a micro level, right? Like you'll get a celebrity and might only spend a 2-minute message. Do you see a future in there? Because the product you have right now to me seems very premium, and I think it could be a really big market. But to really explode into that, everyone wants to be a unicorn these days. I feel like you'll need more transactions. Have you thought about what that positioning would be and if that's possible?
Yeah, so the scale piece of it really is through those training programs, right? It becomes from taking it from one-to-one to one-to-many, and we're still building on the foundation of those insights and credibility.
Okay. All right. Aubrey, have a question?
Yeah, it was just your team slide there. I know you guys are early, but what are you going to be in charge of? And then how are you thinking of growing your team? What are your next hires?
So the next hire is going to be someone with technical marketing experience, or potentially someone with a really big network in the sports space.
All right. Thank you, Austin.